As Israel and Hamas continue to trade rocket fire in day 9 of escalating and deadly tensions, the U.S. is meantime applying what it is calling quiet diplomacy. Israel, though, says it will continue to take out Hamas tunnels, and there are reports they could cut power to the West Bank in advance of those strikes. Meanwhile, President Biden reportedly taking a firmer position with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during a call just last night. The president supporting a ceasefire but falling short of pushing the Israeli leader on that issue. Biden maintains Israel does have the right to defend itself, even as members of his own party want the president to sharpen his tone and take more action.
It's important to note that we are engaged in quiet but very intensive diplomacy in an effort to de-escalate and end the violence, and then hopefully move on to build something more positive.
The Biden administration maintains that the best future for both Israel and the Palestinian people is a two-state solution. The pressure on the Biden administration evident very much so during his visit to Michigan today, where more than 1,000 people rallied in support of Palestinians and calling on the White House to intervene. Dearborn and the Detroit metropolitan area is home, in fact, to one of the largest concentrations of Arab Americans in the country. It is an issue that is taking center stage, to say the very least, even as the president looks to push his infrastructure plan. For more on the administration's diplomatic efforts, tonight we go to NewsNation White House correspondent Allison Harris. Allison.
Rob, the president actually traveled to Detroit today to tout his push for electric vehicles, but that was followed by controversy and a split with the left of his party over his stance on the conflict in the Middle East. President Biden greeted just moments after arriving by local Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, a Democrat and one of his harshest policy critics in the conflict between Israel and the militant Palestinian group Hamas, and the only Palestinian American in Congress. Later, the president acknowledged Tlaib's family still in the region.
I pray that your grandmom and family are well. I promise you I'm going to do everything to see that they are on the West Bank. You're a fighter, and God, thank you for being a fighter.
Despite the president's expressed support for a ceasefire in a call with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu Monday, the battle between Israel and Hamas still rages. Today, a rocket launched from Gaza killed 2 in Israel, hours after Israeli airstrikes took down a 6-story building in Palestinian territory. More than 200 Palestinians have been killed since fighting began last week, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Israel says it is acting in self-defense as Hamas launches wave after wave of rockets, killing 160 Israelis.
Free Palestine!
As pressure mounts from progressives in his own party, who are more and more critical of Israel's treatment of Palestinians, the president has repeatedly said he supports Israel's right to defend itself. This as Republicans continue to blame Hamas for the mounting death toll.
I'm really perplexed about the argument that there's some kind of moral equivalency between Hamas, a terrorist organization funded by Iran, and Israel.
Speaker Pelosi issuing a statement this evening saying a ceasefire is necessary, stating there must be a serious effort on the part of both parties to end the violence and respect the rights of both the Israeli and Palestinian people. The Biden administration has approved $735 million worth of weapons to be sold to Israel, and that is something that's also getting criticism from Democrats who want the Biden administration to stop military support for the Israeli government during this conflict.